So Squad's one of the few games that can actually take pride in itself whenever it says it's a realistic combat simulator. It's got the realistic bullet drop, near perfect vehicle models, and a squad-based system that actually makes communication key whenever it comes to accomplishing your objectives and winning the game. But as an actual infantryman, whenever I sit down and play the roles that it gives you in this game, I start to nitpick a little bit, and I start to see things that not a lot of people that don't really know would be able to pick out. So how's it going, guys? This is Tango Bravo, and this is an Infantryman's Reasons Why Squad is Unrealistic.
He should be up here somewhere. The radio.
So one of my biggest issues about this game, and it's not really just infantrymen or soldiers in general that could pick up on this, it's anyone that's used a gun, that used a sight before, knows or can see that there's something off about the ranges in this game. What I've got here is the squad leader loadout, and it's got the ACOG on it, which is another point that I'll get to later about the sights in this game. But the ranges are not where they're supposed to be. And as an infantryman, I qualify every year. The furthest target that we shoot at is 300 meters, and I will tell you that is not what a 300 meter target looks like through an ACOG. You'll see on the side of this, on the right side of the screen, the ranges. I couldn't get a 1080p picture of the range we qualify on, but you could point out in the distance. The left side of the screen is what you see in game. The right side of the screen is the picture of the range, and you could see the 300 meter target looks a little closer. And through an ACOG, I could point at the 200 meter target, and that's about what you would see at 300 meters with an ACOG. Coming over to the 0 meter line, so yeah, that's about 10 meters. 50 meters, about right, I could see that. So what happened at 300 meters? Why is that so far away? And I'll point out the ACOG is actually beautifully designed. Get back on this elevated platform. The lines that come on the screen, which I do have a sight picture coming up now for what it actually looks like to look through an ACOG. The little lines where you see the 4 and the 6, those are about the average width of a human being's shoulders at that length. If you don't know how to use an ACOG, the tip of the chevron, the little red thing, that's the point of aim for a target at 100 meters. The bottom of the chevron, that inside tip, is the point of aim for 200 meters, and that little red point of the tip is the aim point for a target at 300 meters. And the shoulder width for that target would be at the outer ends of the chevron. So if we aim at the 200 meter target, according to the ACOG, it lines up with his shoulder length, and that's at 300 meters. If we go to the actual 300 meter target, that's actually lining up with the 400 meter aim point. So literally every time I play this game and I come into the range to get my aim down after playing Siege or Insurgency, I've gotten real big into that lately, I see that the ranges of these targets, if they want to call that 300 meters, that's off. And it gets really hard to point that out, because in game, or as a infantryman, I'm looking at that, I use my ACOG, I'm like, oh yeah, he's definitely 400 meters away, and I'm giving wrong callouts to the squad.
He should be up here somewhere. The radio.
So one thing that Squad didn't actually get right is the organization of an actual squad. Like, the only thing that it really got right was the squad leader and the fact that there are 9 people in a squad. But, for instance, the medic, there's only 1 per platoon. And so that's 1 per, let's see, 9 times 4, or 9 times 3, that's 28 plus 6-7-man rifle squad. It's around 35, 36 people. That's for 1 medic. Which, I get it, that won't make sense in a game where everyone's spread to hell and back and you actually need 2 medics per squad because everyone keeps dying on you. But that's what's supposed to be reserved for something called a team leader, which is a person that controls the rifleman, the grenadier, and the saw. So the squad leader reports to the 2 team leaders report to the squad leader. The squad leader tells the team leaders what they want their team to do. Then the team leader tells their 3-man team what they're gonna do. So you can see on the right, the picture that just pulled up, it's shows a squad wedge, or squad column fire team wedge, and you can see all the people that are in the squad. The rifleman would be your anti-tank guy, or he just has a rifleman. We usually only have 1 anti-tank per squad or per platoon. You would never have 2. You have your 2 saws, your 2 grenadiers, and then your 2 team leaders. So the way that they have it set up in the game, there are no team leaders. You can have 2 anti-tanks. You can only have 1 grenadier. And then everyone else is just a rifleman, or you can have that 1 marksman, which doesn't exist in an infantry platoon. That comes from a scout attachment, which you would normally never see.
He should be up here somewhere. The radio.
So one of the biggest things that gets me in squad is the sights of the game. As you can see, like, I'm using an M4 with a carry handle sight. As an infantryman, I have never used an iron sight. I've only seen carry handle sights in the arms room or in boxes that are being turned in because we don't use them anymore. We use a flip-up leaf sight if we do have to use an iron sight. One of the biggest thing that gets me is I've been in 2 units, 1 in Kansas and 1 in the one I'm in now. And in Kansas, everybody had ACOGs. We were a more high-speed unit. Here where I'm at now, we have a mixture of ACOGs for team leaders, CCOs, which is, I think they're called the same thing in this game. What am I doing? Enter. Or okay, it's called a red dot sight in this game, but we call it the CCO. And in this unit, I've seen a Leopold sight, which is a 6x zoom, pretty much sniper sight that we slap on some M4s, which I haven't seen that used by anybody in over a year. So the only people that actually get iron sights are personnel other than grunts, which is non-infantry people, and National Guard units, which I honestly doubt you're playing as a National Guard unit in this game. Another thing that gets me is the saw. Now the saw in this game gets a red dot sight, and in real life, if you're a non-infantry personnel or a non-infantry unit, you'll see yourself with iron sights or sometimes an ACOG, but this weapon has a maximum effective range of 1100 meters. And that's on tripod, which you don't get in this game. On bipod, you're looking at, let's see, 11.8. You're looking at 800 meters for a maximum range on an area target. These red dot sights aren't meant for that. In an infantry unit, saws and 240s, which aren't in the game, you're going to get something called an LCAN sight, which is shown on the screen now. And this thing is designed to take down things at ranges further than 300 meters, which honestly you can't even hit with the saw in this game. Like, let me get back on this elevated platform. Masoon bags. Yeah, you're gonna have a hard time hitting that in this game. Which is honestly another thing. I don't have it as a point in the game, but this saw is actually really, really bad. You see, the saw, before I go on with the iron sights, it's built to withstand recoil. The saw almost has no recoil at all. So whenever I hop into this game and I put down a short burst and the weapon climbs like that, pet peeve, pet peeve. This one's kind of tongue-in-cheek because I know it's coming to the game. But I'm just going to throw it in here anyways because it does kind of annoy me. Is the leaf sight for the 203, which we don't use that anymore either. I'll get to that in a bit. But why can't I adjust the sight? There has to be... We don't use the WS keys when we're aiming. Why can't we adjust for range? Like, that's just me. That's just me.
He should be up here somewhere.
So I have a little bit of a love-hate relationship with this thing. The Striker. I've been a crew on the Striker up until the last couple months for a year and a half, basically. And I know this thing in and out. Almost, sadly, in and out. And what's wrong with it, there's a few model discrepancies which I can be forgiving of because whenever I looked for an actual picture of a Striker, I couldn't really find a good one, and I did find a lot of them that looked surprisingly like this, but for someone that's been around it, you know this is different. This whole area is completely different. But the main thing that I want to get to is, one, this thing's not going to withstand 50 cal right here. Just by looking at it, you can tell this is where the engine is located. And it's not as powerful as the game lets it out to be. The RWS is actually pretty good. I don't know what the fuck that big thing on the side is, but it's supposed to be an ammo can. I've never seen one that big. Never seen one that big. Never. Anyways, for a deployment, you're not going to get a Striker like this. Anyone that's seen war movies, they see the slat armor, the side skirts, which the slat armor is basically just a cage that goes around it to stop RPGs from actually impacting the side of it. And then the biggest thing that got me was, let's see, F3. This window. Like, I could be forgiving, like, if they put a window on the outside of the Striker, which they didn't. But Strikers in real life don't have windows. This is a window. You're sitting basically facing each other inside this small, cramped area, and the seats have cushions. They don't feel like cushions. They feel like little hard blocks of wood after a minute when you're sitting there in full kit with a weapon in between your legs. God forbid if you have a saw, because then that thing's just sitting there, and you have two 200-pound guys on either side. You have a 200-pound guy on either side of you, and they're crushing your legs together around this huge-ass piece of metal in between your legs that shoots a lot of rounds, and you have this big-ass box thing sitting on your fucking... I'm raging too much. Anyways, the windows don't exist. You have 3 seats in the entire, or 5 if you want to count the 2 air guards in the back. But you have 3 seats in the entire thing that have hatches that open up and you can see out of. You've got this seat, which is the gunner seat, which I was actually surprised to see that the fire control station is actually realistic. Everything's where it's supposed to be. The polarity button's a bit different, but who cares about that? It doesn't have thermal sights though, which is odd because you hardly ever would use your day sights. And I mentioned the 3rd seat that has a hatch. It isn't here. The Strikers in this game hold 9 people. which makes sense since there's 9 people in a squad, but realistically, these strikers hold 11 people. The driver, the gunner, the squad leader, and then the 2 teams. But all in all, like, the striker's capabilities, they map that out pretty well. The model's actually more accurate than I expected it to be. And it's pretty realistic to drive, except the fact that these things mow down trees. Literally mow down trees. I should not be getting stuck on sticks.
He should be up here somewhere. The radio?
Ha. Ha. So, my final point, the loadouts. And to explain that, I can actually use this guy. Not everybody is going to have a smoke grenade. And that's normally reserved for the team leader and the squad leader. I mean, the fact that everyone does have a smoke grenade works with the game because a lot of the times you're going to need to pop that shit to get out of contact, and we're not too good at staying alive in this game. At least to where an actual soldier pertains. But, as I said, back on sights, every infantryman in active duty has a sight. That pertains to loadout and sights. That's kind of a double kicker there. But you see I'm holding the law, and that just wasn't to shoot my now not burning and perfectly healthy again striker. I have never seen a law. I've never received a class on the law. I can't tell you the field manual for the law. What we use now is the AT-4, javelins, and every unit's supposed to be getting a Carl Gustav sometime soon, which is basically the law and the AT-4 put together. Because the AT-4 is a one-time use weapon. It's an $18,000 piece of plastic with a missile inside of it. You shoot it once, and it's a training thing now. You can't use it again. You can't reload it. Which I could see maybe that's why the law is here. But if we're looking for reloadability, why not just carry around the Carl Gustav, which is reloadable. It's what most units are using nowadays, and it's a little bit better than what a tow-guided missile is. Now coming back to the grenade launcher, dude. The 203, a lot of units still might use it, but even the unit that I'm in, which is the butt end of the army to get things, we're still using 3-round burst weapons. When my last unit, whenever I came in back in 2013, it's using full auto weapons, full auto M4s, the M4A1, which even basic training units are getting M4A1s now, and my unit's still getting a 3-round burst weapon, so we're getting things last is what I'm getting at here. We're using the 320, which is an ambidextrous model of the 203. Don't ask me how to change it ambidextrous. I've never seen one that flips out to the other side. But it's a lot better than the 203. It's got its own standalone sight. It's a standalone shooting grenade launcher. It still shoots the exact same things. It's just lighter, a little bit better. It hooks onto the weapon easier. Basically, it's better. I've said that like 8 times now, I know, but the point is, unless you're in a National Guard unit, which I'm starting, as I'm doing this video, I'm starting to think we might be a National Guard unit in this game, you're not going to see the 203 over the 320. And for the final point, as I run over to this guy again, it's just all the weapons in a box. It's beautiful. If you look down in the bottom right of the corner screen, the bottom right of the screen, you're going to see we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 100 round drums. At least I think it's 100 rounds. I'm too lazy to actually sit out and count it, but it doesn't feel like 200. Yeah, it's a little bag. The 200 round drums are literally giant pork chops. But 700 rounds of 5.56. Let's see, 100 rounds weighs roughly, let's see, 30 rounds weighs 1 pound, 3 pounds. Weighs roughly a little bit over 3 pounds, which doesn't sound like much. So 3 times 7, that's 27 pounds of ammo. Yeah, roughly that, about 27, 28 pounds of ammo on top of your kit, on top of everything else you have to have with you, your helmet, your 16-pound saw. And the character models in the game don't have assault packs, so where is he having all this ammo? Most light infantry units, which I guess they're strikers now, so this I'm not sure what these units are. We got Humvees, we got strikers. If you find a Bird'em, you got a Bird'em. But before they were light infantry units, and they're still using 700 rounds of ammo that they're carrying somewhere on their kit. Which, it's not easy to fit even 2 drums of 200 rounds on your kit. I used to have to use the bandolier that they came with to wrap them around my body just to try and fit them on there. So where are they carrying this extra ammo at? That's just fun. Also, before I close out on the loadout, because I forgot about this, I really did, this M9. Yep, it's what we're issued. It's a beautiful pistol. Not a lot of people will say that, but I absolutely love the M9. But the point is, a saw gunner's not going to get an M9. A rifleman's not going to get an M9. Squad leaders, I don't think even get M9s. Like, the only people that I know get M9s in an infantry platoon, I think the PL and the gunners in the weapons squad, which aren't in the game, are supposed to get M9s. You really don't see a sidearm in an actual infantry unit, which, again, I get it. It's a game. M9s are fun to shoot if you're stuck trying to reload the stupid-ass saw, which takes absolutely forever. Yeah, you might want to switch to your sidearm if you're in a pinch. But realistically, that's not going to be there. Also, there's no tie-downs. Which a tie-down is we take a piece of 550 cord, we wrap it around our sight, our lasers, or pretty much anything you want to slap on the gun, mainly just sight and laser, because that's all we get. And then you tie it down to the weapon. Because these things, you can see the little knob on the lower left of the actual sight. That thing can twist off. If you hit a tree, that sight might come off, and then you have to spend time looking for that sight, and if you can't find it, you're paying the army back money because you lost their sight. So yeah, tie downs. We need to practice those. Hey guys, thanks for watching. If you notice anything that I missed out on in the video, please let me know in the comment section down below. Hit the like button if you agree with me with what I was talking about. Be sure to subscribe to the channel. I could really use the support. As always, it's been Tango Bravo, and I'll see you guys next time.